love the channel and find it useful in becoming a happy retiree. Subscribe today. Shaun, what's going on? How can I help?
How you doing? Thanks for taking my call. I've got a great, moral debate more than anything else.
Ooh.
I spent 10 years teaching high school, automotive, got out of it because obviously money wasn't great. Got into corporate America, doing well, $75,000 now, possibility of making $100,000 here in the next year.
In corporate, Shaun, in corporate America though, right? So you're...
Correct.
Got it. And what are you in teachers' retirement system? Are you talking about the state of Georgia here?
No, actually, I live in the state of Michigan. I taught in the state of Michigan. I'm just on the road today.
Oh, got it. Okay. And I'm pretty familiar with Michigan. I go to Holland every year. My wife's family is from Michigan, and we've got a couple teachers within her family over in Portage and other areas. So some extent, I'm familiar with Michigan. Or ironically, or just coincidentally, as you're driving through Georgia from Michigan. So, okay, you're back in in corporate America. You're making more money than you would have as a teacher. So keep going.
So the debate is if I go back and teach at the high school level, 5 years will get me a retirement in Michigan, and 10 years. So if I wait until I'm 11 years. 60, 62, whatever the age is now, I could retire with a full pension, bigger than what I would have had if I leave in 5 years, and more importantly, health care. So as I sit here with my next job opportunity ahead of me, making possibly six figures, I'm debating because if I don't go back and teach high school, I can't touch the money. So I have to do a minimum of 10 in Michigan. I've got 6 in Michigan, 4 in Illinois. So I have to do a minimum of 4 to get any kind of pension out of Michigan. Got it.
So you don't even have access to this yet until you hit the mark. What mark is it? The 20-year mark or 15?
10 years to be vested.
Okay. And how many years do you have in?
6 with Michigan, and I cannot transfer the 4 in from Illinois unless I do another 4 years in Michigan.
Got it. Okay, I got it. So then when you do 4 years in Michigan, that's 10, but automatically then the 4 from Illinois will kick in and you'll be already at 14.
Correct.
Got it. And then again, now what if it's like teachers' retirement here in Georgia, you get to 20 and that's a pretty good benchmark for a pension. So then you would go another 6 years and you would have a pretty significant pension, and I think Michigan is not that dissimilar from the state of Georgia.
Exactly.
So your debate, Shaun, so your debate is: do you take less money? This is a really fascinating question. Do you take a little less money to go back to teaching? You leave corporate America to get a future benefit. This is really a present value, future value calculation is what this question is. But I guess you said it's also a moral. What's the moral issue you have with this?
The moral question comes into the education standards that we have.
Oh, okay.
Aren't too different what I'm dealing with in corporate America. In other words, the effort put forth versus the effort required to maintain your position. Both are very similar in that I don't want to start a great educational debate, but I mean I could do a lot less in both jobs and still maintain my position. It's just not something I'm happy with because I want to give everything that I have for whatever I'm doing.
Let me go back to the money, and the question I guess is this: how much? So let's just say you're going to make $90,000 a year in the corporate America. You go back to the public world of teaching, and you go, what do you think you make per year? How big of a change is that? 60?
Depends on the school district. I
70?
turned down 2 offers last year because they were under 50. I had one opportunity to make 54 and go back to teaching public in Michigan, but the distance, the location just didn't work out, so I turned that one down as well. The big one is that currently in corporate America, at least in the big 3, they generally will contract their employees out, and that's where I'm at now. So currently I have no job security, no stability, no 401k, healthcare expenses.
And Shaun, the real crux of this question is, and no pension.
Exactly.
You've got no pension, and you're on the precipice of unlocking the power of the pension that you have with the state of Michigan, and then counting those years from Illinois. I can tell you, listen, I've done financial planning for, let's call it 1,000 or families or more, and there is something really special about the teachers I work with from the state of Georgia, and very often I've seen some of the same scenario where they may have taught in South Carolina, and they're able to have years here in Georgia. There's been scenarios where you can even buy a year or two and to get to these benchmarks. Sounds a lot like Michigan and Illinois. And to get a pension that is, let's call it $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month, $3,500 a month, is tremendously valuable. And I can tell you there's so much that, first of all, there's a lot of peace of mind with it, but it's also just at the end of all the final analysis, super valuable. And that's, I think, now that and how old are you, Shaun?
50.
You're 50. I mean, you've got the next, call it 15 years to work. You're going to grind it out no matter where you are. It's hard economically not to make a case, even though you're going to make maybe 20 grand less, maybe even 25 less on top line than you pay taxes, and you've paid federal, you pay Michigan. It's probably a difference of about 15 grand. If you were to save $15,000 extra because you're making more in corporate America for the next 15 years, that's an extra $225,000. What is that worth to you in retirement? It's worth a little less than $1,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
So
I've done the math. Almost calculated somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 a month, because if I go back to public education, I'm also going to get health care with my retirement.
Right. So we're looking at the future value of that uptick in your savings in the corporate sector. You're going to save an extra, let's say hypothetically, all goes well, you save an extra 15 grand because after taxes, you probably only save another 15 grand. You do that for 15 years, it's $225,000. In the final analysis, let's say you're able to take on average over time 5% of that, which is arguably a little high even. That's 11 grand a year. Your pension between Michigan and Illinois, you'll be able to get to 20 plus years. It's going to be a heck of a lot more than that. It's going to be double, maybe triple that. So
you would agree it's almost a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer to go back and get those years in the state of Michigan.
If I could go back and find, and there are schools out there that will pay $60-some thousand for my position, and then finish my master's. I'm one class away from my master's. That would put me in a totally different tax bracket.
But that bumps you, if you get your master's there, and I think this is similar here in the state of Georgia, you bump up to what, in the 70s?
Almost, yeah, depending on the school district, yes.
Yeah, I think that for so you're 50, you've got these are the haymaking years in retirement planning. And a lot of times I see it's families that say, okay, now the kids are pretty much out of the house, or at least they will be soon. Now we can save $5,000 a month. Tremendous amount of money, right? What you're going to be able to do, you can't do that in the corporate sector. You can maybe save an extra $1,000 a month, right? But the pension itself is the equivalent of saving what you would need to do. Like it would be something like $5,000 a month. And the only way to really do that is what we've discussed here. That's go back and get your years, get your teaching years in the state of Michigan. You'll end up with over 20, maybe 25, and retirement's going to look really, really good. Shaun, thank you for your call. I know you're listening, driving through the state of Georgia. Fascinating call, and the power of a pension, particularly from the public sector, state of Georgia, state of South Carolina, state of Michigan, state of Illinois, just an amazing window into how important that can be in the haymaking years. Hi, I'm Wes Moss, and thanks for taking a minute to hear about what's so different about my new book, You Can Retire Sooner Than You Think. So unlike other retirement books, this book will give you a step-by-step guide, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, to learn from what these successful and happy retirees did to get there. I hope you enjoy the book, but more importantly, I know that it'll help you retire sooner than you think.